Anime Death Spiral, the only anime podcast powered by such nootropics as Mucimol Extract and the proprietary Lucid Blend, which includes Blue Lotus, Dream Root, ashwagandha, L-theanine, vitamin B6, and of course, a healthy dose of 5-HTP to round you out. So we live up to the fullest potential of our anime watching capabilities.
You wouldn't believe how hard it was to get all of those properties into the podcast itself. And that does make it healthy for you to listen to us.
It is a very healthy podcast. Now, we do call them nootropics now instead of performance-enhancing drugs because, frankly, that's a nicer way to say it. It makes us sound less like, scum, cheaters, cheating scum.
No. We're just playing the game. We're just doing what we have to stay competitive at our level, okay?
Look,
everybody's doing it.
I'll say it. Performance-enhancing drugs are cool.
They literally enhance the performance. That translates to pleasure for you, the audience. I don't know what to tell you.
Can you even imagine how boring modern sports would be without performance-enhancing drugs? Have you even thought about that, you performance-enhancing drug hater?
Have you ever tried to watch an episode of baseball?
Have you ever watched an episode of baseball? A whole season-long arc of baseball? I'm really loving the Shohei Ohtani arc of this season.
It's been a wild ride. It has gambling. It has a death game. you know his life was on the line for at least a couple of those games.
The man is fighting for his life. Look at his face when he's at bat. You can see it.
The Yakuza rigged his bat to blow up when he hit his 1 millionth home run.
We are going to have to lock your family in the bottom of this dingy well until you come back to us. But in the meantime, hit some dingers. Make us proud over there.
Did you ever hear about that game show that was on Japanese television like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and the whole premise?
Takeshi's Castle.
No, well, I love Takeshi's Castle. I love that shit.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically like baseball fans would sign up and they would get put in a room. They get locked in a room during their favorite team's big season game lineup. And every time their team won, they got food for the day. And every time their team lost, they shut off the lights in the room for the day.
But what about all the days in between?
If your team lost on a Friday and they weren't playing until next Tuesday again, that's 4 days without lights and no food.
So you saw this on Live Leak? I don't understand. What's the point of this?
Listen, I can't tell you the name of the website where I found it because it's illegal, but trust me, it exists. It's out there.
Oh, these illegal ass
It's
websites.
Not a snuff film because nobody died.
I did hear somebody talking about learning about earlier comedies. It's this kind of the slapstick era, and somebody summed it up like it's not the fall that's funny. It's when the person gets back up and you're like, oh, they're okay.
Sure, a subversion of expectations.
Yeah. Do you remember the Pink Panther?
Yeah, of course I remember the Pink Panther.
You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Do you remember when the bad guy inspector who has been physically and mentally tortured the entire movie just eats shit down like 3 flights of stairs at the end? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it's really brutal. And it goes on for a while. It looks like he should be dead. Like, it's almost uncomfortable. I mean, I find it funny because,
because you're French. Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm sick and twisted, man. I like shit like that. But if he just was dead, it would definitely change the whole tone of that movie.
Well, yeah, like you said, the joke is when he gets back up unscathed, or at least not unscathed but alive and able to continue the movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously counterexamples. I'm trying to think of the very cruel jokes, like in Pulp Fiction when they kill the black kid in the back of the car, and it's played completely as a laugh, you know?
I'd be interested. It's been a long time since I went back and watched Pulp Fiction, and I'm wondering, it's like, is it Tarantino's best, or is like Tarantino just Tarantino for me now? Because he's been growing thin. He's been growing thin on my nerves for a long time.
He's growing thin on your nerves. That's right. He's growing on your nerves, and he's getting thin. I think... like Foxy Brown is obviously his best movie, and it always has been, but people don't like to count that one because
of racism.
Yeah, because it's a strong black woman as the protagonist, which he didn't really ever do again. He had a strong white woman. That was cool.
For 2 movies.
Yeah, for 2 whole movies. Well, one movie that they refused to let him release at 4 hours long. Which, good call, guys. Good call.
Yeah, no, that he keeps threatening. He keeps threatening to release it as like a single director's cut, and I have no idea if
Please don't do that.
If that would be a good idea, I don't think so.
I don't think that would be good. Like I said, only one of those movies was good, so please don't do that. Also, hey, if you liked whatever that movie was called, what was that called? I can't believe I forgot. I don't like it very much, but
Pulp Fiction?
I shouldn't have forgotten it. No, the Uma Thurman.
Oh, Kill Bill.
Kill Bill, yes. What a bad
How
name.
could you forget? It's 2 words, and they're not that long.
It's not a good name. If you liked Kill Bill, I implore you, since this is an anime podcast, to watch Lady Snowblood, which is most of that movie. It's like most of it.
Yeah, he just cribbed most of that.
He cribbed a lot from Lady Snowblood. Also, Lady Snowblood is just fucking dope as hell. Oh my god, it's so fucking good.
Well, that whole fight in the second movie with Lucy Liu, where they're in the snow, Dadoy. But I mean, I think that's probably like the most overt visual reference to Lady Snowblood that we get.
Yeah, it's funny too, because the one thing I kept thinking about, and then he went off and he, years later he made The Hateful Eight, which is a snow movie, of course. Mm-hmm. Very notoriously a snow movie. And while the main reference there is a very, very good Western with Klaus Kinski as the bad guy called The Great Silence.
Does he play like a psychotic German cowboy?
No, Klaus Kinski he's just like an evil fur trapper turned bandit, I think.
Okay.
He's a real piece of shit. He's sort of the Mario Van Peebles of that movie. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh, sure.
Yeah, so...
throwing shade at Mario, but okay.
He's great. But there's a lot of Lady Snowblood in those snow scenes, too. Also, speaking of ripping off Great Silence, the entire first chapter of Red Dead Redemption 2, all of that, almost fucking shot for shot, stolen from the Great Silence.
Okay, with the going through the snow and the mountains with the wolves.
Going through the snowy mountain pass? Yes, all of that. Except, unfortunately, where the Great Silence is about a man who cannot talk, Red Dead Redemption 2 is about a man who cannot shut the fuck up.
See, I only played that intro portion, I think, up until they get to like some, the bandit company, whatever, Dutch's gang.
Yeah.
They get to some abandoned farmhouse and they have a shootout with another gang. I got up to that part and then just stopped playing because that game is actually really boring and bad, and I didn't have fun playing it.
Look, I'm not a huge Red Dead Redemption defender. I'm not a hater like you, but I will say you played the worst part of the game.
Okay.
Like, if you had continued on, you would have gotten to the good parts where you're, like, hunting down KKK guys in the swamps and shit. That's good stuff.
Okay, well, that's good. I like that. That sounds
Pulling
fun.
out your cowboy repeater from, like, your saddlebag holster as you're riding down these fucking KKK dudes. Oh, my God. There's nothing better in a video game than doing that shit.
Oh, all right.
Name me one other fucking video game where you get to go around killing hate groups. Name one other one.
Oh.
He can't even do it.
I can't even do it.
Not even in Cyberpunk is there like one explicitly white supremacist group that you can just murder.
Yeah, they tried to do that whole thing with the 6th Street Gang, which are like they're the super pro like America First gang, but they're also a multicultural melting pot of different backgrounds.
Yeah, they're like lots of like women and people of color in the group. I kind of thought, who were the super tech guys, the ones that are all teched out? They're like addicted to body mods.
Oh, the Maelstrom.
Yeah, the Maelstrom guys. I kind of got like a white supremacist meth gang vibe off them, but again, like
very much is what they were going for, but also not really committing to the bit in the end.
No, they couldn't commit. I think they got spooked off, like making an explicitly racist faction in the game, which sucks because you don't think Night City would have huge fucking racist gangs? Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, absolutely. They absolutely have huge racist gangs full of huge racists.
Absolutely. It's a weird thing. It's sort of like they do this in a lot of like kind of sci-fi and fantasy movies where they will include, minorities, right? Mm-hmm. But then completely ignore race. Like just pretend like there is no racial complexity to human society.
It's
instead they like to push that shit off to like, oh, but also there's like a group of crocodile men that live in the sewers and everybody's racist to them. So like,
okay,
that's
all right.
bad.
I agree with you. That is 100% an annoying thing that happens in a lot of modern sci-fi properties.
It sucks.
But at the same time, do you really trust the guys in Poland working at CD Projekt to get American race relations with any form of nuance or without putting their foot in their mouth?
I would appreciate a good, honest try. I kind of like the way that like Detroit Become Human. I mean, as horrible as that game is, and as horrible
can
as
we
its
not
politics
bring
are,
up David? Can we go one episode without bringing up David Cage? Can we do that, please?
No, he is what people think Kojima is. that's the official podcast line.
No,
on David Cage.
People, I have to step in. I'm breaking kayfabe here. I do not endorse.
No.
I do not endorse that opinion.
Okay, fine. Fuck it. Whatever. We can talk about what you want to talk about. We don't have to talk about David Cage again. I'm just saying, Detroit Become Human is obviously terrible, but at least he gave it a try. At least he swung at it, He fucking missed so hard that the bat came back around and hit him in the fucking back of the head, but, he tried.
Listen, always try and shoot for the moon, because the worst thing that could possibly happen if you fail is that you die horribly in space alone.
Yeah, moonshot, baby. And then moon crash.
Oh my god. Okay, enough about David Cage. Can we talk about some anime? I want to talk about anime.
Right, fine. Okay, first, before we talk about anime, I do want to take my performance-enhancing drugs live on the podcast. This is a very special treat for all of you audience listeners. This is to make up for missing the last episode. We are going to be doing.
Oh, by the way, I did. Thanks for bailing me out. That was that really helped.
Yeah, how'd that hole go?
I got court next Monday. We'll see how it goes, but
okay, you could let me know when you're not going to incriminate yourself.
Yeah, my lawyer told me not to talk about why I wasn't on the podcast last week.
Yeah, don't say anything. It's okay. Don't elaborate. But here we go. We're going to do a bit of a pharmacological experiment. I'm just going to be taking my anime enhancing drugs, and we're just going to, over the course of the podcast, we're just going to check back in and see if anime is any better or not when the neurochemistry kicks in. What do you think?
Well, I think that in my professional opinion, as a neuropharmacologist, the anime will not get better, no matter how high you get.
Even if I take something called Dream Herb?
I can 100% say that nothing good is going to come out of you taking something called Dream Herb.
I haven't read The Odyssey in a long time, but the Lotus Eaters, they were bad guys, right?
I think so.
I don't remember.
Listen, I'm not going to comment on whether they were good or whether they were bad, but to Ulysses, they were foreign, and that's bad enough.
Not Ulysses, Odysseus.
Oh, right, whatever. Some Greek asshole.
Oh, this is good actually, because I just started playing Hades 2, and Odysseus is just like one of your party members for some reason. He gets to like hang out with gods.
And he's a total asshole.
He's a fucking piece of shit. And also, Poseidon really doesn't like that guy. It's made very clear in the book. So like, why would he be hanging out with the gods, you know?
You know, maybe he came back with an even better Odyssey that impressed him. Odyssey 2.
He's so good. He totally owned Poseidon.
He's doing it. He's doing another Odyssey.
Also, okay, just one thing on Hades 2. I won't talk about it, but in the first game, you play as Zagreus, the son of Hades, and he's got a real big axe to grind. He wants to kill his dad. Because
I thought you were going to say he had a real big ass.
He's got a real big ass. No, he's pretty scrawny. He's actually kind of a live, stringy man.
Well, you know, a lot of the fan artists that I follow take a lot of liberties with that game, so
he doesn't look Greek. I'll say it. He doesn't look Greek at all. There's a lot of Aryan shit leaking into the Hades games. So that's all I'm going to say. Anyway.
You wanted him to be shorter and hairier.
Yes, absolutely. And rounder and balder. And selling me a used furniture for some reason.
Okay, we're getting a little a little blue here.
Okay, the one thing about Hades, I just want to say the one thing about Hades. So you play as this new character, right? Zagreus is gone.
Zag is gone, huh?
Yeah, and the new character keeps talking about how the bad guy of the game took her family away from her. And so in your bedroom, you have a portrait of your family, as with her as a baby, right? And she's being held in Persephone's arms. And Zagreus is there, and he's got his arm around her, and he's, like, looking chummy. And then Hades is standing over them, kind of looming with his giant arms, kind of almost enclosing them.
Wait, isn't Persephone Hades' like stepmom?
No, Demeter is Hades' mother-in-law. Persephone is Hades' like girlfriend.
Or I mean Zagreus. Persephone is Zagreus's stepmom.
No, real mom.
Real mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Learn your lore, bro.
All right. Go on.
Anyway, the whole point is you look at this picture without the first, like, the context that comes later on, and it looks, the way the picture of her family is framed, it looks like she is Zagreus's daughter, and that he's
very proud of her.
Like, fucked his mom. It's a really weird way to start your game.
I don't know. That sounds pretty on point for everything that I know about the Greek pantheon, web of relationships. God. That seems pretty, like, normal.
No, I agree with you there. It just didn't seem like the tone they were going with this game in particular, you know? Everybody in these games are kind of, like, just kind of chill and, like, normal. They don't really get up to a lot. Not like the OGs.
So what you're saying is that Hades 2 has 100% more incest than the first one.
Look, I'm just saying, 20 minutes in, it drops the question on you, the player, that, like, are you an incest baby? And then you have to play more to figure out that no, of course not.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
No, she's not an incest baby. She's just very young. Anyway, okay, so that was my Hades 2 thing.
I'm going to cut out and have so much fun with that sound clip.
Weird incest shit in Hades 2. And I'm going to move on. I'm going to take my performance-enhancing drug for the anime experience.
Oh,
now,
God.
the serving size does say one dose. I am going to take 2 doses for the sake of the podcast. So, wish me luck. Bottoms up.
Well, he's doing that. I just want to say that we, as a podcast, do not endorse recreational drug use. Stay out of the streets, kids. Stay inside, watch anime, don't do drugs.
As Assassination Classroom taught us, drugs are funny in manga, but deadly in real life.
They do? They get high in Assassination Classroom?
Yeah, there's some, like, weed references near the middle of the run. Nobody.
I don't see that enough. I wish there was more weed references in anime.
Me too. I totally do. Actually, I won't talk about it this time, but there is a manga I picked up that is about, like, a psychonaut, a Japanese psychonaut.
Dope. That's cool.
Which is cool as hell.
Yeah.
I can't wait. We'll talk about that one at some point.
All right. Remy, it's my understanding that you may or may not have read some manga at some point in the past. Is that correct?
Well, now that I've got my dream root in me, I'm primed to talk about anime. I'm raring to go. I cannot wait to tell you about this anime I watched.
He's gone full Luffy fifth gear over here. He's running around the room.
It's Gear 5, you fucking poser.
Oh no! I've been
God.
Exposed.
Oh my God. Okay, listen. Let's cut to the chase, shall we?
Let's get straight to the juicy anime core.
Despite saying for 3 episodes in a row that we have watched all the premieres, I did watch a new premiere,
Oh,
a
no.
new spring anime premiere.
Oh, I had no idea. He's springing this on me right now. This is a
That's
total
right.
shock to me.
That's right. Now, I do think this really will be the last one. I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
Pretty
but this
sure.
better be the last time.
All right, so this one's called Time Patrol Bond, TP Bond.
TP Bond.
I don't like the sound of TP Bond, so I'm just gonna call it Time Patrol Bond.
It's evocative of like TP Barnum, you know?
I wish that was what it was evocative of. I would say it's more evocative of Beavis and Butthead, but so this is a new Netflix release. Guess what? Netflix is back. They're back in the game.
Oh man, they are hitting it out of the park, you know? They've got all this anime. They've just been doing them one after the other.
It's funny because they keep pushing for these live action ones, which are all dog shit. But the actual anime that they're releasing, very quietly, I will add, are like bangers for the most part. Dungeon Meshi, Pluto,
Oh, yeah.
Cyberpunk. Time Patrol Bond is maybe not a banger, but it's good. They've been putting up numbers.
Not to mention that they've been the leading importer of like JoJo and Baki and all that stuff. All
Yes,
that's Netflix.
of course. JoJo and Baki, yeah. And the Senran Kagura Baki crossover, which we are fucking eagerly anticipating over on this show.
Oh, yeah,
Cannot
definitely.
Cannot wait for beefy boys touching up all on each other. That's going to be fucking cool as hell. But that's not Time Patrol Bond. Time Patrol Bond is part of this weird like revival thing that's happening right now. I know you didn't watch Akuma-kun on Netflix.
Didn't get around to it, no.
Totally skipped it. But I liked Akuma-kun quite a lot. And Akuma-kun, of course, is by the guy who did Gegege no Kitaro. It was his other thing about little wizard boys. And it was really good. I really liked it. But it was also like this callback to the 70s anime. And, Pluto, of course, is referencing back to Osamu Tezuka, as well as his Dororo remake that we talked about.
Yeah.
The Phoenix 17 came out fairly recently. It's also an Osamu Tezuka. We've got that Kazuo Umez homage called, what is it? The Sailing Classroom? Drifting Away, is that what it's called? It's also on Netflix right now.
Yeah, I think it's called something like that, Drifting Away. It's, referencing the drifting classroom, obviously.
Yes, very much referencing Drifting Classroom. And then now we have this, which is by Fujimoto and Abiko, who are better known as Fujiko Fujio, the creators of Kyutaro and Doraemon and The Black Salesman, which is very misleading.
He's not a salesman. He's not black.
Yeah, he's neither one. And of course, the infamous Beret Shin-chan. These are heavy hitters.
Well, I mean, Doraemon, we've talked about before, is essentially Japanese Mickey Mouse,
I mean, Doraemon is one of those unstoppable forces in anime and, Japanese popular culture at large. Unfortunately, one of the weird ones that just like never broke through in America, which is a little weird to me. I don't know why
Time-traveling,
that is.
earless cat robot doesn't have a whole lot of grip with the ADHD-addled minds of American youth.
It's just not compatible with the neurodivergent youths.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's because we already had Mr. Peabody and Sherman, and that just soured everybody on the whole concept of like weird talking animal and dork time traveling together.
You know, now that I never put those two together until just now.
Really?
Yeah. But you're totally right. Mr. Peabody and Sherman were totally Doraemon in spirit.
Yeah, they were proto Doraemon.
I don't know if they were proto. I think Doraemon's been around for fucking ever, hasn't he?
Doraemon, let me see. Doraemon came out in 1969.
Peabody and Sherman was part of the Rocky and Bullwinkle show.
Yes, it was. Well, part of the block or something. I don't remember how that was set up. But Mr. Peabody, of course, started in... oh, shit.
He goes all the way back to the 17th century.
10 years before. A whole decade before Doraemon hit the scene. It came out in 1959.
Wow, okay.
And you're right, it was part of Rocky and Bullwinkle, which, I know it's not anime, but those dudes kick ass. Those are cool dudes.
Yeah, they taught me to hate Soviets.
Yeah, they instilled on us a very healthy hatred of shifty Russians.
Yep.
And their beautiful but twisted femme fatale girlfriends.
I mean, let's be honest. Rocky and Bullwinkle are the reason that everyone wants a goth GF these days.
It's true. Me included. Hey, you know what? Dan Castellaneta actually voiced Mr. Peabody.
In what?
Isn't that fucking wild?
I know didn't they just have a CG movie come out a couple of years ago?
They did. That wasn't. But
that wasn't Dan Castellaneta.
That was Chris Parnell, I think.
Oh,
yeah. Who's everywhere now? That dude blew up.
I mean, he's been putting in his hours. He's been he's a comedian's comedian. People like him.
No, he's fucking hilarious. I love Chris Parnell.
We love you, Chris.
Until the second somebody tells me that he's an awful human being, then I'll drop my love at the tip of the hat.
It's so fickle.
Yeah. So Fujiko Fujio, the creator of all these legendary things, Time Patrol Bon, I don't think is quite as well regarded as something like Kyutaro or Doraemon. At least I'd never heard of it, but I found it very charming. I like the throwback to like the Tezuka era anime makes it stand out like a lot in the modern era, you know? Mm-hmm. We've talked about the anime face. We've talked about anime face a lot.
The homogenization of anime style in general, yeah.
Yes. Or, to be very generous to it, it would be like kind of the codification of the genre and medium as a whole, leading to more of more subtle differences between the art styles. Whereas in the 60s and 70s, they were still trying to find what that was going to be. And so there was kind of this bizarre blend of like Western and Eastern comic styles, right? And that's where Time Patrol Bon artistically like sits very comfortably right there. And it's very striking in 2024 to see something like that, which I thought was cool. I like that.
Tezuka and all those guys, they were big influence from stuff like Don Rosa's Donald Duck. Not Daffy Duck, the other one, Donald Duck.
Not Daffy Duck, Donnie Duck.
Yeah, the Donald Duck cartoons,
the
or
one who fucks.
The Life and Times. Yeah, the Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. Absolute banger.
Oh, sure. And there were so many comic references back then, too. I mean, that was really the golden age of, like, funny papers, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, what I like about...
You had Crazy Cat. You had basically 18 different comics about a drunk asshole who hates his family and his wife. There was a lot of them.
I mean, it's so relatable.
You remember that possum one?
No, I don't think I do. I mean, what I like about anime from that era is that is, in addition
Pogo.
to...
Sorry, it was Pogo.
Pogo.
I was thinking of
okay.
Pogo. Yeah, Pogo kicks ass.
What I was saying is that during that era, in addition to still trying to find like what anime was as a stylistic medium, as a genre, they were also, learning what cartoons were with everybody else at the time, right? And it's something that I've talked about. It's like modern anime by and large, do not treat their products like cartoons. You know, they treat them like motion comics. Like they're literally. I'm trying to explain it. You know, they put a high emphasis on trying to recreate panel for panel what happened in a manga page or what was described in a light novel, whereas certain studios like Science Saru are invested in the format of animation and treat that as a consideration first before, like, all right, how do we appeal to, you know, the manga fans or whatever in this case. Does that make sense?
I think I know what you're driving at. I would say something like Dungeon Meshi kind of splits the difference, though, because like we talked about, it's like so faithful. But the Trigger stuff is so obvious in it, too.
Yeah, Dungeon Meshi, when Trigger puts in like some Trigger animation, you can tell when they're flexing like their stuff.
Constantly flexing.
Which I like. That's like, I'm into that shit. And I like
They're like
it
frat guys at the beach, man. They're fucking flexing like crazy on everybody.
I don't know. I like it when animation is animated, I guess.
I like when animation is animated too. I like that.
Okay, all right.
That's good.
I'm done. I'm done trying to sound like I have an educated opinion.
You tried. It was an admirable attempt. So TP Bond is very cool. It's about time traveling. It's about as standard time traveling as you can get. Girl time travels to modern day. Her time travel machine fucks up. She meets boy. Boy gets inextricably involved in the whole time travel thing. Boy has to accompany girl on time travel adventures. Very, very simple setup. There's also a weird little yellow ghost mascot character that I don't really understand and wish he wasn't involved.
Well, you gotta have a mascot.
Yeah, you gotta have a mascot. I wish you didn't, but you gotta. The big point, I think, of TP Bond, and we can leave it at this, the thing that really startled me about TP Bond is speaking all of that about the art style and everything, the Tezuka thing has a sort of innocence to it. It definitely looks much like for a much younger audience. You know, I think that's how it's reflected into our modern imaginary now. Which is one of the reasons that Tezuka was like, I think, really shocked Americans, because he drew in sort of a childish isn't the right word, but he drew in a childy type style, you know, for something like, you know, Dororo. And then in Dororo, like, he fucking, like, decapitates dogs and shit. He disembowels people, you know? And I think that caught people off guard.
Well, same with, like Blackjack. Same deal.
Yes, Blackjack, too. And in this one, it is also that. And then, like, 10 minutes in, our main character, he's just chilling, fucking around with his friend in their bedroom, you know, doing their bedroom stuff.
As you do.
Yeah, and then his friend accidentally plummets off the balcony 10 stories down and turns into a fucking ink spot.
Oh.
Like, very graphically. And we get to watch, before anything else happens, we get to watch this kid have a very realistic mental breakdown about this. It's very painful to watch. Luckily, our time travel girl comes back and sucks all the blood back into his friend's head and, you know, rewinds him back up onto the balcony, and everything's fine.
Oh, thank God. Oh, I was worried for a second.
Yeah,
there.
I know. It's good, but everything ends up, you know, as it should. But, man, it got fucked up for a second there, you know? I was caught off guard.
You know, the storytellers, they wanted to keep the audience on their toes. You know, they feel like, all right, this is a slow scene, slow start. Let's really drive up the adrenaline first thing, get everybody engaged, and then we walk it back. You know, then we walk it back.
If you want to like wake up the audience, for sure,
just push a kid off a balcony.
Yeah, killing a child. I mean, we all saw Antichrist, right? Like,
oh God,
it's an incredibly effective visual storytelling move. We all know it. We all love it. Anyway, that is TP Bond.
I mean, speaking of anagram, the other thing you could do with your project to get the audience engaged is show Willem Dafoe's penis.
That's why Antichrist just absolutely demolished at the box office, because they do both of those things.
They kill a kid and they show Willem Dafoe hanging whole hog.
Yeah. Also, they kill his hog. So it's all three. Man, what a great movie. I love that movie.
Oh, man.
So that's TP Bond. I watched it. It's good. Maybe not great, but good. I liked it. I liked it as much as I liked Akuma-kun, which is also kind of that throwback style.
Okay. Well, probably check it out. Can I tell you about some...
Don't lie to me.
No, I'm not going to check it out.
Don't fucking lie to me.
I tried to lie to his face, but he was too smart.
God damn it. Yes, tell us, what did you get up to? I know you didn't watch this, so what were you doing?
Oh, man. I, once again, against my better intuition, delved into the world of just absolute dog shit rom-com manga.
You say that's against your better intuition, but it does seem you've got, I mean, no offense, but you've got a bit of a truffle sniffing pig thing going on.
Listen, it's my X-Men 97 mutant ability, okay?
Yeah, yes.
I can't help it.
99% of the time, it's like a tree stump, but that 1%, baby, you live for the 1%.
Sometimes you stumble onto something real special.
Yeah.
In this case, I read in its 200 chapter entirety.
Holy shit.
Yeah, a manga called Yancho Gal no Anja-san, which is another entry in that tried and true classic genre of gal rom-com teasing kind of like an introverted dude.
Another one of these.
Another one. And that was my assumption going in, and I found something very interesting about this one, in the sense that it drops that whole dynamic almost immediately, because it starts off, we have our two main characters. Seto is a bowl cut, glasses wearing loser.
Seto.
Yeah.
Like Kaiba?
Like Seto Kaiba, but not as cool.
Not as
Same
cool.
bowl cut, though. This one is not rich, does not own a trading card company, still has the bowl cut for some reason.
Typical millennial. No ambition.
And we have his classmate, Anjo, the titular Anja-san. And she's, a spunky gal, and she likes to tease him, except her version of teasing him is literally just saying, like, hey, I think you're cool, and we should hang out, and I like you, and do you want a date? And he'll be like, whoa, why would someone ever say something so mean to me? Whoa, my God, I don't know what to do with myself.
I can't believe you'd fuck with me like that. That's
Yeah.
so mean.
And then she'd be like, no, like, I understand, like, why you think that, but I do actually like you. I think you're cool, and, like, I want to date you and, like, hold your hand and kiss and go on dates,
Yeah.
and, like, I think you're really cool.
She's like, listen, I know you think this is like a common, like, romantic comedy, like, misunderstanding, and you've got kind of like this weird personality thing going on. That's why I'm talking to you so plainly. Like, I'm not fucking with you. I really want to, like, have an emotional connection. He's like, stop it. Why is she so mean?
That is exactly the plot of the entire comic.
Wow, that sounds terrible. Why did you read so much?
Because during the course of the whole thing, something interesting starts to happen with all of the background characters, in that they all have, like, not badly written, fleshed out backstories and side stuff that they all do, and they're, like, genuinely endearing and fun characters to hang out with.
Oh, like Horimiya.
Yeah. And occasionally we go back to the main couple, and they're just doing the same thing again, and except, we'll go back 10 chapters, or in 10 chapters, and it's like, oh, hey, by the way, we're dating now, and you're my boyfriend, and I like you. Please stop acting so weird. Like we're a couple, and he'll, I don't know, have a heart attack and die or something.
Cool.
And then we go back to the actual interesting side characters that are like learning that they want to go to art school or stuff like that. Just general kind of feel good slice of life stuff that's funny to watch and engage with.
Sure.
And then every once in a while we go back to the main couple and it's like we have to get our fix in on like, all right, this is the plot. Like, this is what it's about, wink, wink. But then we shift focus to another, side character, and we get their backstory and see what they're doing.
Okay.
And every time, it is always more interesting than Bowl Cut Dude.
Okay, here's a question, and this should become a standard question of all rom-coms we talk about.
Okay.
What does she like about him?
In this case, she likes... I guess that he's the only one in the class that doesn't, like, talk shit about her under his breath.
What? So these side characters that you've become endeared to also do that? They sound like assholes then.
No, not those side characters. They're the cool ones.
Other people.
Yeah, bad people.
The bad ones.
No, that's another thing is they kind of really go into, it's like, all right, well, for lack of a better term, it's like, what does it mean to be a gal, a gyaru? Like, what is that style all about? Why does she dress like this, even though it is intentionally provocative and like, she gets bullied about it from other girls sometimes. I find that stuff very interesting, the humanistic aspect of all of these characters instead of just being like a set dressing,
Sure.
So that's why I read it. I kept saying like, okay, I can't, like, I'm done. I can't keep going on with this. And then I would, like a potato chip, eat another chapter.
How many chapters of Vagabond have you read?
I don't want to get into how many chapters of Vagabond I've read.
200 chapters of Yansha Gal, though, huh? Crazy,
Listen,
man.
I didn't have a lot to do
wild.
last week. Again, my lawyer has advised me not to say why, but I was sitting around with a lot of free time on my hand, okay?
Yeah, don't elaborate.
Uh-huh.
See, now what's interesting about this to me is that this is a pretty common setup, except... the way you're describing it, I haven't read any of this, obviously, so I'm shooting in the dark here. But the way you're describing it, it sounds like the more typical way to go would have been that she's a yandere. Yandere?
I don't know. I don't
bad
know
either way.
because yandere implies a kind of like sinister subtone to it.
Yes, it does. But the idea of like,
and
a
I know
girl,
that's your fetish. I know that's what you're into.
yes, it's obviously what I'm into. But that setup kind of implied like a girl who is like very aggressively courting a dude who's kind of like, but like into it, but like off put by it. Like I think that usually would swing yandere instead of, I don't know, nagatoro. What is a nagatoro? A tsundere?
Kinda. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I guess
I've just been describing all of these in my head as gal comics.
gal comics. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's definitely a weird thing about that. The entire premise of the rom-com being like the guy is too stupid to realize when a girl likes him. Mm-hmm. It's very relatable. I mean, I get it, but that you can't drag that out over like a lot of chapters. You need to resolve that pretty quick, or else we are going to hate the protagonist.
Yeah. Well, I will say I want to leave off one thing. She does give him a haircut halfway through, and it makes the whole thing a lot better.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Is it a really sensual haircut?
It's a pretty sexy haircut. I can't lie. Her whole thing is that she wants to be a stylist when she grows up, because
of course
her mom runs a salon and she wants to like take over her mom's salon. And there's like a running gag where she gets in trouble every time she tries to cut somebody's hair because she's not allowed to cut hair yet. She's like in training and she has to work up to being able to cut hair.
As you should.
As you should. But she's also like a virtuoso. She's really good at cutting hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gives him a fuckboy haircut.
I'll believe it when I see it. I heard that way too many times about kids who did stick and pokes. I don't believe that shit anymore. Okay. Yeah, man, that sounds...
Okay. All right. You know what? Why don't you tell me about something you read then?
Sure.
How about you tell me about Sukiyaka Naru Tokimo Kakaru Tokimo?
You want to take another run at that?
Nope, I said it perfectly the first time.
Okay, fair enough. I'll try it. How about that?
All right, you try it.
I'll take a turn.
You take a crack at it.
Okay.
See if you can beat me. I don't think you can.
I mean, I know I'm a bit of a mush mouth, but let me try here. Suko Yaka Naru Toki.
We're gonna speed this up in post.
Mo Kakeru Toki Mo Suko Yaka Naru Toki Mo Kakeru Toki Mo.
That's what I said.
By Gaku Kirio and art by Noguchi Yuriko. I think I'm getting better. I think I'm getting better at this.
He's flawless. You're doing so good. I'm so proud of you, bud.
But my pronunciation's really coming along. I think we can all agree.
The speech therapy is really helping.
Yeah, it would help if somebody hadn't broken my jaw, but what's done
Well,
is
you
done.
shouldn't have said all that stuff.
I know. Nobody to blame but myself. This is a really weird one. I think this didn't get picked up after its first issue, which is sad. But I read the first issue, and the first issue is pretty long, so if you wanted to, I guess you could read it as a short story. It doesn't really have a conclusion, so that would be kind of unfulfilling. But I really liked what I read, and the art is fantastic. It's really, really well done. Lots of really strange paneling. Great facial expressions in this comic. Like, very good shit. It's about a dork-ass loser, or so he seems.
Oh, no. Okay.
Has a run-in with a mysterious woman who catches his eye while he's gambling at a casino.
It's happened to all of us.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good at I think he's playing poker. He's probably playing poker. I think he's doing really good at the poker table. And it seems to intrigue her, so she comes along and she asks him if he wants something more challenging.
Something for the high rollers,
Yeah, and he's pretty intrigued. So they go up to a suite.
And I do want to jump in real say, if a strange woman ever approaches you in a casino, do not go anywhere with her. That's advice that you can put in the bank. Just going to say.
You probably shouldn't. The lure is going to be strong. You're really going to want to, but you should just, in the back of your mind, always keep a safety. Don't wander off with beautiful strangers if you're at a casino.
Okay, so that said, what happens to this guy after he wanders off with a beautiful stranger?
Well, he gets caught up in essentially a death game.
Almost
immediately.
Wow!
Almost immediately after he gets up from this fucking poker table, he's in a death game.
See, people, that's what I'm talking about.
You know what? The thing is, the girl was already in the death game and she was looking for a partner. So it's like,
it should be against the rules to recruit the unwilling if you're already in the game. You have to set that up before it starts.
I agree. It's not fair. It's not
sporting. It's not sporting.
It's not sporting to the non-participant. But if you imagine yourself for a second in their shoes, going, I really need to increase my chances of winning this death game. You're not going to hesitate from picking up a ringer. Come on. Don't lie. So he gets picked up as a ringer.
Okay.
And the story gets set up that they are participating in a death game sponsored by this chick's dad, her horrible fucking oligarchy conglomerate dad.
Mr. Sony.
Yes, and he's this is the tone of this comic isn't that dark, but the concept of a dad starting an inheritance war where only one child gets to survive is just so insanely dark to me.
Isn't that the plot of Succession?
No, it's not. It should be. It really should be. They only die emotionally. And also all the kids lose. Spoilers. So the
only winning move is to not play the game.
My fingers are crossed so fucking hard. They're doing pretzel loops to get this thing picked up because I really, really like the first issue. I really like these two characters and the way they interact with each other. They are not flat in the way a lot of characters in death games are written. You know, death game is a subgenre of horror, and we know that, you know, for good or ill, horror tends to traffic in very two-dimensional archetypes of characters instead of like complex human beings. And, you know, whatever, that's fine. The genre doesn't necessarily need like character studies. But these characters are really well drawn and in both the literal and metaphorical sense. And I became very endeared to them. So obviously my heart was immediately broken, like it is all the time reading random manga, in that it just ends. It just ends.
It just ends.
It just ends.
And it just kind of ends.
I really, really want this one to be picked up. I liked it a lot.
I mean, that's too bad. It's always a shame when something that you're really into doesn't make it as long as you wanted.
Well, and I keep up with this shit, so I'm seeing which manga gets picked up and which ones, like, don't. And, y'all, most of these mangas suck shit.
It's true.
They're bad. They're really bad. And this is a good one, and it didn't get picked up. What the fuck? It makes me very sad.
Speaking of, can I tell you real quick about a manga that I read one chapter of, and I'm glad that it got canceled?
Oh, please. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was, almost in the polar opposite of how I found Yanchigal. I was flipping around and found a little comic called Love Score. Have you heard of this?
No. Sounds awful.
Oh, man. It made it 11 chapters and then got summarily executed in the back of the head, pushed into a pit, and the world is better for it.
Dope. Let me guess. This is about body counts.
No. It may have been. I didn't give it enough time to find out in those 11 chapters. I bounced out after one. This is basically, the Robot Girlfriend episode of Futurama?
Of course. It's our reality.
Well, it's basically that. This is a quote-unquote rom-com / slice of life / romance. None of those apply from what I've seen, by the way.
It's not a romance?
I would not describe anything that happened in that chapter as romantic.
Really? It's called Love Score.
So, Love Score is about a world where there exists an app, a phone app.
Love those things.
Where you can download the personality of a person that you have a crush on, and it will make a digital real doll copy of that person for you to test out and see how compatible you guys are in real life.
Jesus Christ. So it's like deep fake porn, but with like a 3D printed sex bot?
Basically, yeah. Yeah, no, that sums it up.
That is awful.
It's about this loser dude who has a crush on a girl in his class, and so he downloads this app to see how compatible they are. And at that point, I had to go and look at the tags associated with this on MangaDex.
Yeah.
Here's what it's tagged as.
Oh, no.
We have school life.
Yeah.
Okay. We have slice of life.
Gotcha.
We have romance.
Mm-hmm.
We have psychological.
Psychological, that's a tag?
Yep.
Just things that there is psychology going on in Love Score.
We have the erotica tag.
Erotica.
Yep.
Instead of ecchi?
Instead of ecchi, just straight up erotica.
Interesting. I wonder what the difference is.
And then finally, we have the sexual violence tag.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
cool,
and that was when I
Great.
bounced out of this one.
Did you get to the sexual violence?
No, I did not, but it was implied.
Okay.
The implication was there. I did not feel safe for myself or any of those women. And then I looked up, and this only made it 2 volumes, 11 chapters, and then canceled. So I guess we should all give a big round of applause to Japan for having the common sense to not carry through with this one.
Well, you never know, because it is such a crowded market. It could have just been it got overlooked.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it did make it in as far in the fan community to get a French translation.
Hey, if somebody's translating it, like people liked it. People are out there liking that shit.
So that was it. That's all I wanted to say. Do not seek this out. It's no longer being made, and that is a good thing.
All right, fair enough. Well, I might as well tell you about a couple other things I've read.
All right, let's blast through a couple more and let's take a break.
Yeah, let's just to round it out, you know. So just as a side note, Noragami did end recently. I've been reading Noragami for a long time. I think it probably ended like a few months ago, but I didn't end up reading it till recently. So I finally finished Noragami. Noragami in the books. I rule it. Good. Cheesy, but good.
You give it the good tag?
Yes. It's a shame about the anime, but, you know, whatever. I'm very excited to see what the author does next after doing 10 years on Noragami.
That's a long time.
Wow. I know. Isn't that wild?
That's crazy. I mean, what do you move on to after doing something for 10 years like that?
You do something completely different. You have to just like pivot 180 and just run.
Well, good luck to him.
Yeah. So that was, I don't know, cathartic, I guess. Bittersweet for sure. I don't like when things end. I'm one of those guys. I don't resent it, but you know, it definitely makes me feel a couple different ways. I'll say that.
I don't like when things that I've been actively following end, but I prefer it when I discover something and it already has an ending.
Sure, if it's just a big tome and you can just burn through it, it's definitely a different experience. There's a huge phenomenological difference. I agree there. In the similar way, just to note, Suicide Girl did end as well. Made me very sad because I love Suicide Girl so fucking much. Suicide Girl is so great.
That one wasn't even that long. That was only the 30, 40 chapters.
It was 40 chapters long. Now, it does end with that gag I've mentioned a few times where it says, like, end of part 1 as kind of a Zetman reference, which I think is very funny. Whether it comes true or not, who knows? This artist moves between projects, like, quite a lot.
And people, if you haven't checked out Suicide Girl yet, do it. It is one of the most visually pleasing manga that I've put my eyes on in a long time.
It's out there. It's fucking great, and it's out there. And no one has ever come close to making this many suicide jokes in any comic ever. It's fucking kick-ass.
They don't all land, but some of them do.
I like the vast majority of them. So Jujutsu Kaisen is closing up pretty soon.
Thank God.
Chojin X looks like it's kind of coming to a close. Hanako-kun is closing up soon. To Your Eternity looks like this is going to be the last arc. So a lot of my reads are kind of disappearing. Tomodachi Game is on it, basically its last chapter after like 120 chapters. A lot of my reads are going away, so I've been picking up a lot of different stuff. I've been doing kind of a shotgun blast in various random directions to find stuff I'm interested in.
Drawn in the fishing nets.
Yes. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons I read Tsukayaka Naru Toki Mo Kakeru Toki Mo. I'm getting faster each time.
You did great.
Because, you know, I'm just pulling chapter ones. Including in that list, I've got a couple others. I mentioned Ogami Tsumiki to Kinichijo by Morishita Miyu. A couple times in the past. That's the one about the wolf girl. The guy who transfers into the humanoid school so he can hang out with monster girls.
Sure.
It's very cute. I've been reading that for a while. That's one of the ones I picked up in this shotgun blast. I really like it. It's fluff. It's fucking popcorn. But it's fun. It's caramel corn. Tastes good.
Sweet and sticky, and it gets in your teeth.
Yeah. Some of the weirder ones, though, are like I picked up Cosmos Kramer. So Cosmos is kind of strange. It's by the guy who did Beelzebub, which was a big turnoff for me when I started it. But I ended up liking it a fair amount. It's very standard. It's just, stop me if you've heard this one, but a guy discovers that aliens are real, and there's like a Men in Black agency that regulates them.
I know, that sounds pretty original to me.
Do you think he joins that agency?
I think he might join up with that agency at some point.
Yeah, I think I think he will.
Maybe he gets like a grizzled old partner who needs to teach him the ways, and he needs to teach that guy how to be more loose, not so uptight.
Absolutely correct. You're right on, except it's not a grizzled old man. It is a grizzled young girl.
Grizzled young girl, okay.
Yes. At least that's her appearance. She could be very old. Who knows? It's alien shit.
Sure.
But he is there to warm her heart, which is ice cold. The big wrinkle here is that the men in black are less FBI and more insurance salesmen.
Okay. What, are they selling something?
They literally insure aliens who land on Earth.
Oh,
and
I
you
see.
are not allowed, much like our current car situation in America. You are legally not allowed to be on Earth without an insurance policy. And so instead of being a cool FBI agent type dude, he turns into a fucking insurance detective.
Oh, that sucks. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, Johnny Dollar ass motherfucker over here. So I'm lukewarm on that. It's all right. The art is really good, though. Tatari, and this is confusing, by Watari.
Oh, that's good.
This
I like
is
that.
the one.
That's
I don't know if
funny.
I mentioned this one before. Yeah, it's great, right? You really nailed that one.
Yeah.
This is the one about a boy and his little sister. They're orphans. They don't know their parents at all. For some reason, society just lets them live in their own little apartment on their own. What is up with that? See that all over the
this
place.
seems to be kind of like a burgeoning subgenre in Japanese media, because there's that what's it called? There's another one very similar called Kentaro Lives by Himself or something like that.
Kotaro Lives Alone.
Yeah, Kotaro Lives
that's
Alone.
The one about the baby who lives in his own apartment.
Or there's that reality show about the babies who go out and do chores and stuff.
Old enough.
Yeah, old enough. Send your 3-year-old shopping for you.
Hey, if you can get away with that, that's a dream. Have your 3-year-old pick up your smokes.
Hey, what would be really cute is if we take away the childhood from the child.
Hell yeah. In this one, though, it goes a little bit further than that, because the boy, he's a very nice boy. He's a chivalrous anime boy.
They always say that, right, on the documentary. Oh, he was such a nice boy.
He was such a quiet child.
Never any problems.
I don't know what happened. He spends a lot of time wandering in the woods, which does kind of raise the eyebrows.
Yeah, no, isn't that one of the 3 dark behavioral indicators of a serial murderer?
He turns it around, though, because he comes across an injured cat that's been attacked by some dogs, and instead of slitting its throat, which you would expect, he saves it and he nurtures it and he brings it back to health, and it becomes his best friend. So,
and he never kills it.
He never kills it.
Oh, okay. All right, that's a surprise.
Yeah.
All right.
It stays alive. So when the boy is gunned down by thugs,
oh,
randomly, who may or may not be Italians, they made it very vague on that front.
Wait, what's the Italian mafia doing in Japan?
They're killing children, obviously. So when he's gunned down by Goombas, the cat decides that in order to avenge his master, he will transform into a perfect copy of the boy.
Oh, shit.
He takes over the boy's whole fucking life, bro. He turns into the boy.
Okay, so this is reverse John Wick.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, except John Wick never turned into a dog. He's just got that dog in him.
That would be, okay, if John Wick but dog soldiers, that would be a good movie.
If he could do the Alucard thing where he turns into a big ass fucking black dog, damn, that would be so cool.
That would be really cool.
That would be so fucking cool. Why are these movies so lame? Why don't they have guys who turn into giant dogs?
God damn
it's fucking
it.
ridiculous.
Okay, so his cat's like a Bakaneko type shapeshifter. He can turn into a cat or turn into a boy. Takes over this guy's life, and goes John Wick on the mobsters.
Exactly. Well, he does a little bit of detective work because, frankly, why the fuck would Italian mafia guys take a boat and then a taxi and then probably the metro.
Oh, well, it's because...
and then they get lost in the metro, so...
It's because mob guys are afraid of flying, so they have to take the boat to get to Japan.
Yeah, there's a lot of superstition in the mafia.
It's true.
So that's a weird one. Kind of cool. It's all right.
All right, why don't you hit me with one more here, and then let's take a break.
Yeah, let me give you the good one. How about that?
Okay, yeah, give me the good one, please.
Because I read a couple others. I mean, I read Togeoni, I read Gamoran, I read Ryokai Shimpan. Togeoni is also actually the good one. But I want to talk about Senso Kyoshitsu. Senso Kyoshitsu. Senso Kyoshitsu. Kyoshitsu? Fuck. I thought I was getting better.
No, you slid right back down. It's okay.
By Sora Mozuku and Tomori Higuro.
And what's this one?
This one is... So, you know, with... I don't want to say the decline of Berserk.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the decline of Western civilization.
With the decline of Western civilization, European fantasies have come, not back, they never left, but like really fucking roaring to the forefront of the cultural imagination.
Well, people smell blood in the water now, you know, trying to fill a niche.
They truly do, because Berserk is gone, right?
It's dead, and it's not coming back, and they're not releasing new chapters. I'm still not over it.
I'm very sad about it, and I don't like to think about it. But the interesting part is that there is sort of a gold rush for the seat of strongest dark fantasy, right?
Okay, all right.
And I've been picking over, you know, the challengers, and there's some good ones, there's some bad ones, but I found one in particular that I very much like. It's called Senso Kyoshitsu, like I said.
Right.
This one is
He keeps saying it.
Dark fantasy set in your pretty standard, like, warring medieval Europe, but it follows a boy who has a stick growing up out of his head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was picked up by a mercenary band. Is this sounding familiar? As a child, and he was grown up under a kind of a salty dog, piece of shit mercenary leader.
All right, I can see the lines forming here.
Yeah, we're getting some connections. He's always kind of morose, and he always felt like he's out of place in the mercenary band because, you know, he doesn't like all the raping and pillaging. He's not really into that shit. What he does like...
That's not very cash money of you.
I know. He doesn't have that dog in him. But he's got that bird in him because, boy, does this dude like singing. But he sings... with a bugle. He's a bugle boy.
Is his name Anton?
No. His name's Ryuka.
Okay.
Ryuka the bugle boy. So Ryuka the bugle boy is just bugle boy.
I just want to say that if they had the balls to name their dark, gritty fantasy main character Anton Bugle Boy, best manga ever. Best.
That'd be pretty
absolutely
good. What do you think would sell more, Bugle Boy or Bugler? The Bugler.
Bugler Mr. Bugler's day off.
So Ryuka is a bugler,
okay.
But also a tree head guy.
Okay.
And it turns out those things are more connected than we would have originally thought because...
Can he control plants with his bugle playing?
No.
Damn it. Okay.
But he can control people.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right.
Holy shit.
So he's a pied bugler.
He is a bit of a pied bugler. You're right.
Yeah. All right.
One day his mercenary band gets lured into a bad conflict and basically they all fucking die. And the other army takes hold of him. And he goes willingly because the people that come to collect him, dude, they got fucking trees growing out of their heads.
What?
They've also got tree heads.
His people found him?
His people found him. And they take him back to sort of a papal city-state where a giant tower resides, like Sauron, you know, Eye of Sauron style evil tower. And everybody keeps assuring him that it's not evil, but like you take one look at an evil tower and there's no mistaking it. I can spot an evil tower anywhere.
I mean, I don't think that you can build a tower in a fantasy setting without it coming off vaguely sinister in some way.
Yeah, there's only really two kinds of towers, evil towers and big white shiny towers that get destroyed at the beginning of the story.
Sometimes the evil towers are big and white and shiny, like in Berserk.
That's true. That is true. and that tower does get destroyed. So
there you go.
it splits the difference. So this is a story about our Bugle Boy kind of discovering the wider world for himself and trying to discover, where he fits in with his tree head, and where the kind of what place in the world do tree heads have in this dark fantasy that's at war. And are people going to try to use his powers to influence the wars? The answer is yes, there, obviously.
Of course. He has mind control powers.
Yeah, but how do they do it? And who does it? And why do they do it? And when?
And when, yeah.
And how? And what do they do with it?
And where do they do it?
And where do they do it? Well, we know that one. Medieval fantasy Europe. So I adore this series. I love it. It has an incredible grasp on subtle character, and it has a very solid sense of humor without becoming, comedy. Sure. Which, honestly, is both things I really like about Berserk, but honestly, in Berserk's case, kind of struggled with the comedy part for a long time. Lest we not forget the first 30 or 40 chapters in which Puck would just show up and say some stupid shit to relieve the tension. I'm not a Puck hater. I'm not. Just to be clear, I'm not a Puck hater. I'm
not a Puck hater. I am occasionally an Isidro hater, but that's a personal thing.
Isidro, I don't know. He's fine. He's a little annoying, but he's supposed to be. He's like an annoying little kid.
Yeah, I know. He reeks of editorial meddling. It's like, hey, we need you to put a shonen in here.
We need a little boy.
Yeah, we need a little boy to boost sales with the age group. And it's like, I don't think that we should be selling Berserk to 11-year-olds. And then they go, fuck you, you have cancer now.
Yeah, no, they should be selling it. I mean, why not? This is a really interesting take on a medieval fantasy in the middle of a period where we are drowning in it. And I feel like I said at the top, we're looking for a Berserk successor. And this is by far the closest I've read of all these strongest dark fantasies that actually approaches the level of humanity and complexity and drama and intrigue that Berserk did when it was at its height. I think a lot of times these things just devolve into edgelord shit so fast, it's untenable.
Well, people forget that Berserk started off as edgelord shit, and it had to better itself over time.
Yes, Miura wrote a bunch of edgelord shit, and then reached a point in the story where he said, "Oh no, I have to develop these characters in this scenario, and I have to inject humanity into these little puppets I've created.
Yeah,
they need to have internal lives and motivations and structure to the world where they can maneuver in interesting ways. Oh no, why did I do that?" And then he spent 30 years doing that. He got really good at it.
Classic blunder.
Yeah. Now, this story, I'm only at 15 or so chapters, so this has plenty of time to nosedive.
I mean, how deep is the overall chapter count?
I don't know. I think I've only read the 15 that I could find. I don't know if there's more. I suspect there are, but I could only get my hands on 15 chapters.
Okay.
And let me tell you, there is one panel. Also, this is one of the manga, we talk about paneling a lot. This is one of those manga that just has absolute fun with paneling. It just has incredible imagination about what a page of a comic can look like. And there is one sequence in particular that I read where paneling becomes diegetic.
I love that shit.
Which is so fucking cool. I don't want to spoil the thing, because when it happens, it's like a fucking double fist pump in the air moment. It's so fucking cool. But this is the one. I mean, everybody should be reading Senso Kyoshitsu by Sora Mozuku Tomori Higuro.
Well, a cursory glance says that there's at least 6 volumes out right now.
Fuck, I gotta get my hands on those other volumes. I love this
Sencho Kyoshitsu, a.k.a. The Bugle Call.
Bugler Boy. Bugle Boy.
a.k.a. Anton Bugle Boy.
The bugler's boy.
He just keeps bugling.
All right. Well, let's take a break. Let's see if these enhancements are starting to kick in or not.
All right. Oh, man. Here we are. Anime Death Spiral.
Here we are.
Once again.
We're here. We find ourselves here again.
Nobody else.
No one else but us. How many times on the show have we actually mentioned that we are the only anime podcast?
I would say at least once per show.
I'm not afraid of reiterating it over and over again. We should really drive it home.
Really drive it home. Hey, people, we're the only anime podcast. Get all those other anime podcasts out of your feed. They're nobody. They're not for you anymore. Only us.
They're not for you. You know, I have to say, I'm starting to consider that this proprietary blend of ours might be bunk. I'm realizing that while the dream herbs we usually chew do enhance anime to a certain extent, mixing them with the Blue Lotus, which has the opposite effect, was a big blunder.
A real pharmacological disaster.
As we all know, Blue Lotus, of course, makes you hate anime, which is why they use it in anime addiction clinics.
Wait, is that true?
Well, of course.
I had no idea. I'm really showing my colors here. I've been taking Blue Lotus extract every morning, and I hate anime.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons you're such a huge hater. But you already had sort of a biological inclination towards hatering.
It's true.
So you can't...
It's genetic.
Yeah, it is a genetic property of your bloodline. I come from 10,000 generations of haters.
Anime hating is just my specific flavor, my contribution.
Anime hating. Yeah, and you know what's exciting about the modern age of anime hating?
Oh, is it that we get to see anime in a big-ass real movie theater?
Absolutely. You got it in one, Nate. We get to go to a big-ass fucking theater filled with other anime nerds and make everyone uncomfortable with our snide remarks. That is the good shit.
Well, you say filled with other anime nerds, so I guess we'll get into it. I watched Spy Family, Code White, Spy Family movie.
And I watched Spy Family, Code White, the Spy Family movie.
And I was, me and my anime watching partner, we were the only people in the theater for Code White.
You were the only ones?
We had the entire theater to ourselves. It was great.
Yeah? So you kick back?
Oh, I kicked back.
You light up a cigar?
I lit up a big old stogie, blew it right at the screen, let out a big old laugh every time they made a joke. Oh, it was great.
Big belly laugh.
Big belly
laugh. Yeah.
I threw my popcorn all over the floor.
Yeah. I always make sure to chew 3 or 4 pieces of gum when I'm at the theater, and then just you stick a couple on the back of the seat, you stick a couple in the hand cup rest thing, throw them on the ground on the way out. Put one on the door handle as you're leaving.
I had some chaw that I was chewing on. Big old spit bucket next to me. Really stinking up the joint.
Oh, yeah. We're always chawing. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, I had a dip in the whole time. I had a front lip. I had loaded it up before we went into the theater. And then I had drank so much Red Bull during the movie that I had to take a huge piss. And I just spit that shit right in the urinal. It's right there.
It's what it's there for, really.
Yeah. And that's how I feel about this movie.
Yeah. Okay. I guess jumping right in. Spy Family Code White was okay, I guess. That's my review.
That's what you're leading with, huh?
Yeah.
We're 6 months late to this party, and that's what you
Hey, it just came out in American theaters. You can't expect me to be all over the globe catching Spy Family premieres until the Patreon money starts flowing in, people. Please donate. We need the money to go to Japan to watch the movies.
Yeah, we do need to go to Japan to watch the movies, which we will do. We will not understand because neither of us speak Japanese. but we will hoot and holler and clap and stand up and do a little dance because we love anime so much.
It's true.
Wait, do we love anime this episode or do we hate anime this episode?
I've been going back and forth. All right,
Yeah.
I think that I liked the Spy Family Code White movie. I thought it was pretty good.
Sure.
I, of course, saw it in the optimal format of subtitles with Japanese audio.
Okay.
Some people in the room, it's my understanding, were not that lucky. May have had a suboptimal viewing experience for this movie. Do you want to comment on that?
I don't know who you're particularly referencing because I think pretty much everyone who saw this movie dubbed had that experience. So I am not alone in my agony. Unbeknownst to me, our watch party bought dubbed tickets.
Oh,
Cool.
The classic blunder.
The classic blunder.
Like starting a land war in Asia.
Yes, nice reference, bro.
Oh, my references are off the chain.
This dude watches movies. This dude knows who William Golden is.
It's true, I do.
Damn. So, I'm gonna say my experience watching this movie was essentially farcical. I want to say
A comedy of errors.
yeah. We made dates.
A dato.
We were going to see the movie at 2:00. Not my favorite time to see a movie, but I don't hate a matinee. Unfortunately, I had some shit to do that day, and I lost track of time, so I did show up to the theater about 20 minutes into the movie. Maybe 15 minutes into the movie. I show up at the theater. I'm like, damn, I'm already late. There's going to be no good seats, right? So I buy my ticket. I look at the little chart because they do this whole annoying fucking seat arrangement thing, which I despise. I truly despise.
You miss the old days of just going in and picking a seat.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't?
No, absolutely not. Assigned seating all the way.
No, I hate that shit. But I spy on the little touch display the perfect seat. Literally like mid-row of a mid-row. We're talking like square root type shit.
Perfect center.
Perfect center. And I'm like, what? There's one seat available right there? Hell yeah. I hit that shit. I spend money to watch this movie. I walk in to the characters speaking in English.
Oh.
This is shocking to me. Not to sound like a cliche, but I do not like this.
You run back out to the counter and you beg them on your knees, tears in your face. I can't do it. Take the ticket back. I need the subbed version.
I'm about to spin on my heel and run away. Literally run. But my watch partners spot me and they wave me over. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I did pay the money. So I walk to my assigned seat. Hey, guess what?
What?
That whole assigned seat shit that I just said I hate? Yeah, somebody was in my fucking seat.
To be fair, you did show up 20 minutes late.
Yes, I don't intend to be fair, okay? Can you chill? I'm gonna be as biased as I want to be on my own show. My seat is fucking taken. And it's taken by like children I can't yell at. So I have to go all the way to the fucking side of the row and watch it at an angle, a sconce even, askew. I'm watching a dubbed anime at a 45 degree angle. Not happy about that. Luckily, when I do finally pay attention to the movie, I realize like literally everything I missed was in the trailer, so I'm immediately caught up. It's fine.
Okay, good.
I'm actually like perfectly inserted because I get there the moment the MacGuffin is introduced.
All right.
So I mean, that was great. That was the physical, tactile experience of watching this movie.
I can't believe that is so polarly opposite of how I experienced this movie. Because, like I mentioned, I was in a theater alone, just me and my friend watching the movie. We are dead center, perfect seats.
Yeah.
It is subbed. We get to talk whenever we want, put our feet up. No problems. It was great.
Yes, sounds lovely. Sounds lovely.
Okay, so Spy Family Code White. I guess talk about what the movie actually was a little bit.
Let's talk about the movie. How about we talk about the movie?
Let's talk about the movie. Let's talk about
the movie.
The movie. It is the classic classic format of an anime movie. It is a side story, not based on anything in the Spy Family manga. Totally original plot.
Its place in the timeline is very confusing.
Ambiguous and really unimportant overall, because
absolutely unimportant.
The important thing about these types of plots is that they don't impact the main timeline in any way whatsoever.
Yes, though I will say there's some interesting complications with that idea. But first, I want to hear. We should start with the positive, right? Tell me what was good. What was good about this movie, Nate? What was good about the Spy Family Code White movie?
Well, I think obvious good things right off the bat. It had some pretty decent animation in it. I like the way it looked.
I would say more than decent.
Yeah. Okay,
There's a sequence in the middle of the movie that is top shelf, top shelf shit.
I know what sequence you're talking about, and I agree. That is some of the best animation in the Spy Family series. Absolutely so far. Very cool to look at. You are talking about the toilet god sequence, right?
We'll get to it. To it.
All
yes,
right.
We'll talk about that later in other
other
circumstances.
Like the animation, looked really cool. Liked the new setting that they went to. You know, I enjoy that.
The snow map?
Yes, they went to the snow map, kind of German-esque holiday village kind of thing going on.
Yeah, I thought Swiss chalet.
Yeah, Swiss chalet.
Yeah.
Love that aesthetic. I think that's fun. You know, it's a lighthearted, kind of fun romp, very in line with the rest of Spy Family.
Yep.
I think that kind of covers all of the really good aspects of it, because I mean,
wow,
for me,
was it?
Well, for me, the big draw is the increased animation budget, because I already know nothing in the story is having any impact on the actual plot, and I'm using very heavy quotes here on plot of Spy Family.
Okay. So you were just there for the eye candy.
Well, I mean, yeah, basically. What did you like?
Right.
Give me some of your positives.
First of all, I agree. I think there are a lot of really great pieces of animation here. I would say that is not super surprising to me, because we made a lot of it when we were talking about it before, but stuff like the tennis sequence in the show was absolutely punching above its weight class.
Oh yeah, no, they were putting some oomph in those sequences for sure.
Yeah, I mean they did the damn thing before in the regular run of the show, so I had high expectations in that department, and I think they pulled it off. I really like some of this stuff, especially that this was an anime movie. And we've been seeing this more and more, and I think this is actually one of the most exciting developments in anime animation, in that people are becoming much more willing to move the camera.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Very dynamic camera work in what they're doing here.
There is a lot of dynamic camera, and some of it is facilitated by CGI, which, we both have made ourselves pretty clear on that. But some of it is the traditional style, where you just do that shit by hand.
At least twice they do the I call this a trigger affectation, but the Dutch angle running away from an explosion.
Sure.
They do that at least twice in there, and I think it looks real fine both times. I like that.
There's some really great stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some really great camera work, which is a thing we don't always talk enough about when we're talking about animation, because we usually just think of the drawings and not the perspective we're seeing those drawings through.
Well, if I can go back to what I said at the beginning of the episode, that's what I meant about people treating the medium as a cartoon and moving the camera and doing weird stretchy stuff with the characters and all of that, as opposed to just try and flatly translate a manga panel onto the screen. That's what I was trying to say.
Sure.
And they definitely do a bunch of that here in Code White. Very cool stuff.
Yes. I mean, I of course will forgive anyone who shoots a manga adaptation like that. I mean, you'd have to go off script to move the camera around for a fairly faithful adaptation. It's not like you're doing that a lot in the manga. Unless you're going super meta, like I mentioned before.
Which is also cool, and you should do it more.
Which is also extremely fucking cool.
Yeah.
I really liked that we had a story that made, I mean, you've joked that there's no plot, but we had a story that attempted to make inroads on the main Spy Family plot. It was not successful.
No, it was not.
But we'll get to that. I appreciate the characterizations, and I appreciate that it was pretty equal amounts Anya jokes and action stuff. I think they did a pretty good job splitting those up. Mm-hmm. I think ultimately, like you said, I do agree that there's not a lot. It's, again, pretty fluff. There's not really a lot going on narrative-wise. And, acting within the constraints that it's been given, I also understand. I guess we should say the bad things.
Want to move on to the bad things now?
I guess we should move on to the bad things.
I thought the Toilet God sequence, well, beautiful, went on a little too long.
Well, on that, I will say I was made extraordinarily uncomfortable. I do not like jokes about shitting. I don't like it.
I'm not a huge.
I don't like any of that stuff.
Proponent of toilet humor. I agree that there is a place for it. It's just not for me in most cases, especially when the joke is like, oh hey, a little kid has to shit for half the movie, which is a major plot point of Code White.
It's not half the movie. It's just the climax.
It's like a good 35-minute chunk in the middle of the movie, but
it's not 35 minutes. The movie's like an hour 20.
I know, and they really put emphasis on the shit stuff.
Okay. I personally, for very personal reasons, this is not me saying it's like inappropriate or whatever to make jokes about. I don't want to get confused there. I just really personally do not like that stuff at all. So while I think that is one of the best pieces of animation that's in this movie, and even in this show, and in anime movies in general, I thought it was like fantastically done. There's really, really great animation, especially because it switches over to like a kind of a watercolor style for this like fantasy sequence.
It's a mixture of like watercolors and different textures that have been, put into different cells in the animation.
Yeah.
To kind of give it a very dreamlike, fantasy-esque kind of vibe to it.
Yes, honestly,
it reminded me a lot of the Ghibli Princess Kaguya movie.
Oh, I wouldn't have pulled that, but I guess so. The weird thing about it is it kind of makes the rest of the movie look drab.
Yep, yeah.
Which is an unfortunate consequence of just like...
You never want to flex so hard that it breaks the rest of the movie around it.
Yeah, you blew your load a little early. But I appreciate it. I liked it. I just wish it was literally about anything else at all.
I guess the plot of the movie was pretty bare bones. Essentially, they go on a family vacation, and during the vacation, Anya accidentally swallows a chocolate that has secret spy stuff microfilm inside of it.
A microfiche. And then there are blimp Nazis that are trying to get the microfiche from Anya. It's fucking Sky Captain shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
There's a Soviet robot man at the end that comes out of nowhere. I feel they really did not set up that whole sequence at all.
Didn't really care about... like setting that up in any way, or who that guy was, or like why he'd be fighting. It doesn't matter. It's just a mini boss.
Yeah. Near the end, Yor has to fight a guy who has a robot body and he has gun arms.
Inexplicably. I mean, it's one thing to be like, hey, the bad guys invented nerve gas in this like very vague time period setting. It's another thing to be like, hey, we invented like robo-cyborg soldiers. What? They're literally on a blimp, and they're like, here's my android murderer. It's very jarring.
I've been flip-flopping on, because one of the most ridiculous parts of that sequence was your defeating him with the combustion powers of lipstick.
Or just fire.
Well,
just heat.
I mean, that's the main thing that gets him, right? But she sets him on fire by like drawing on him with lipstick that she has, and it's not like fancy spy lipstick that's supposed to set on fire. It's just Lloyd gave her a thing of lipstick as a gift earlier in the movie, and she's like, well, lipstick's mostly made of oil, and oil burns, and so she sets a robot on fire with it.
I mean, you are wrong. It is special lipstick. It's just not special in that way. It's special because Lloyd buys her a gift.
Okay, but why does he buy her the gift? Want to get into that? Because that was another aspect of the story that I was kind of like, on the whole.
We can that actually leads directly into my central criticism of the movie. So we could go there.
The cheating subplot.
Well, the way that empties into the rest of the narrative, really.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
Okay, you want me to get into it?
Yeah, get into it. Get into it.
Okay, this entire plot, like the actual like mechanics, the mechanisms at play in this story are all already done in the show and the manga. I'm pretty sure in both. We have already covered this ground. Somebody has just lifted certain particular elements that I guess they liked in certain arcs and recombined them. No matter that we've already seen this and this is already played out, so it doesn't really make sense to just do it over again. Yor gets jealous of Nightfall and gets weird, and Lloyd goes, she's acting weird. I gotta do my weird spy thing and like emotionally manipulate her until she's a good mom again, which is, again, something we saw earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
There is a moment where they are alone together and Lloyd overplays his hand and Yor hurts him very badly and he does a backflip. That is replicated, again, beat for beat from something we already saw.
I mean, to be fair, that particular bit is kind of funny. I'll give him that. Doing the backflip out of getting backhanded by Yor is... I got a chuckle.
Sure.
It still got a chuckle out of me.
It's fine. I like the bit. It's just that it's
been done. They already did
replicated it. like word for word, essentially. Also, there is a weird thing at play there, and I think it's heightened because of this movie, like, coming after 2 whole seasons. But there's a running thing in Spy Family where we don't really get a lot of Lloyd's interiority. We get Anya reading his mind most of the time to get, insight into what he's thinking. But compared to the other characters, we don't get a lot of, like, his moment-to-moment thoughts and feelings about stuff. Intentionally, he's supposed to be the cold spy, right?
Right. The classic manipulator.
The classic manipulator. But we do get a lot more of that stuff from Yor. So we kind of know how Yor feels about Lloyd, where she is in this, like, emotional journey she's going on with Lloyd and Anya. And we know that she is much more sincere than Lloyd about this.
See, you say sincere. I feel like she comes off as almost naive and childlike sometimes.
Well, not almost. She literally does, and that's on purpose.
Yeah.
Which is uncomfortable in certain, if you think about it in certain ways.
I'm not a huge fan of it most of the time, especially when it's supposed to be contrasting the fact that she's like, a super assassin or whatever.
Yes, it is weird. She is a 40-year-old virgin. And that just like that doesn't need to be in the plot at all, but it's just included to heighten the tension of the will they won't they thing. That's why it exists, right?
Right.
But because it's one-sided, because we get Yor's feelings, and she is more sincere than Lloyd, you can admit that.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
And we get a lot more of it from her. It positions Lloyd as like a fucking asshole. Like a real piece of shit when he does this move, which he's now done multiple times because they had to repeat it. It makes Lloyd look like an emotionally manipulative asshole.
But he is, though. He literally is, though.
Yes, but we're not supposed to think of him that way. We've done a lot of work to disassociate him from the cold, calculating spy, because that's what the whole story is contingent upon.
Right.
But in those moments, it becomes so heightened that actually it's hard to like Lloyd, knowing that he is very coldly and calculatingly manipulating Yor in those moments to his own ends. That's fucked up. That's really fucked up.
Yes.
And if we had an inkling, just even like one little breadcrumb that Lloyd was having conflicting feelings, which we do occasionally later on in the show, we start getting that stuff, but not so much against Yor, mostly about family in general. Family. But like we just don't. So for all we know, Lloyd has zero emotional or romantic interest in Yor, like at all. Not even a little bit, because he has never told us that, right? The story has never even implied that.
Right.
So when he does these moves, he's a fucking piece of shit. And that really colors the whole movie for me, because then I can't stop thinking about that.
What you're saying is that there's a definitive lack of pathos coming from him.
No, it's just there is this big thing, and it's not a character. I mean, you could call it a character flaw, I guess, but it's not really a flaw. It's just who he is and how he wants to be. But it repositions him from like, haha, we're having fun, to this guy is creeping me out. And that really puts a damper on all the hijinks and escapades that we are supposed to be hilariously joining in on.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The whole cold manipulator spy dude, at a certain point to progress the story to where everyone assumes, I think, Tatsuya Endo wants it to go towards, right?
Yeah, eventually.
You have to have him like kind of break the shell, learn, back lack of a better term, Lloyd's got to learn how to be a real boy, not just a super spy.
Yes, he has to melt. He has to melt away, and for that he has to find some kind of like larger reason in his life.
And so when we have moments like in the movie, especially in the movie where it's explicitly non-canon to the rest of the story, or at least ambiguously canon,
or just repeated material.
Yeah, repeated material. It accentuates a lack of character growth that I think is necessary, obviously, to sympathize with these characters.
Or a lack of interest in that kind of growth from the author, which is, I think, worse, because then it means like, oh, this is just never going to get paid off.
Well, see, I was doing some reading on the critical response of Code White.
Oh no!
And and let's see here, Anime
Some
News
Rotten
Network.
Tomatoes.
Anime News Network gave it a B+ overall.
Even less reputable.
And the author's main argument was because there was a lack of any impact on the overall Spy Family story.
So the exact same complaint everybody has about every anime movie.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me at all. You know why? Because I've watched fucking One Piece movies.
The ambiguous, canonicity of the story is irrelevant.
Canonicity.
Yeah, canonicity.
The canonicity.
I agree. That's unimportant, but I think that in a story that is dependent on the characters growing as people over time and becoming more sympathetic and more endearing, doing one-off stories that don't actually inject any kind of growth to these characters is harmful to the overall narrative.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it's weirder watching this movie now, post season 2, or would it be weirder watching it pre-season 2 and then seeing the exact same story beats repeated?
I think that if I had to pick an optimal place to watch it, I would watch it in between seasons 1 and 2.
I mean, like I would have preferred to watch that. Obviously, we could not. But I do find it to be very strange.
Well, okay, let me ask you this then. Would it be worse if they had like sweeping plot advancement and character growth in the confines of this movie that is then later ignored in the greater series?
That's hard to say. You know, I do think that annoys me more just kind of rolling back all the potential. But I do think that's just the danger of having another person write your story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of part and parcel for it. Like I said about the One Piece movies, that happens in a lot of One Piece movies where characterization grows or gets changed, and then you just spring back to like canon One Piece and you're like, oh, okay. I don't think that bothers me as much about One Piece, maybe just because those characters are they're just them, you know, they've been them for years, and I doubt they're ever going to change significantly. Whereas in Spy Family, I mean, we've talked about the end game, right? Like it's very clear what we're driving towards.
It's for them to be a real family.
Well, yes, for them to be a real family. But the mechanics, you know, schematically, the way that works is that as all three of them approach the ends of their goals, right? Yor eventually gets assigned to assassinate Twilight. Anya finally becomes friends with the boy, and Lloyd finally makes contact with his target. All three of them realize that those goals are not useful or not what they expected. There's a big subversion there, and all three of them have to make a choice whether they want to be a real family or not. And in those moments, that's where like all the drama of the series comes to a head, is literally in those last moments. And the way the story has structured itself is that until we make literally any move in that direction, nothing and nobody can change, which is, you know, my least favorite thing about Spy Family.
The episode, I was going to say relentless episodic format, but it's not relentless. We get little nudges forward every once in a while.
Yeah,
but yes.
We're crawling. But that's because mechanically we can't leap, you know, unless it comes to a very abrupt
end. We can't
end.
leap because if we leap too far, that's the end of the story. It ends.
Yeah, that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
You know, the climax of the story does not have the structure it needs to like be a 600 chapter run or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
No, we all see it. We all see it pretty clearly in the distance. And we're just kind of trotting along to draw out the race, right?
Yes. So we have the choice, you know, to sit on our hands and decide like this is the Spy Family we like, and we're okay with it being like a gag comic for the most part. I think a fairly interesting, unique, and sophisticated gag comic, but a gag comic. Or do we get like fed up and frustrated and be like, can we get the fucking story over with by now? And right now we're kind of not getting either. We're just stuck in this limbo.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to sit on my hands though. I'm making that choice. And in that choice, I have decided that I like the Spy Family movie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I
think that's the ultimate decision you have to make when you think about this movie and Spy Family in particular. Is like, who are you? Are you the kind who can sit on their hands and like what you're given? Or do you want and need and crave more from this story and characters? Which one are you?
Well, you know, I personally want more so badly that I'm growing a mouth out of my throat. Or a hand out of my throat.
I'm growing mouths everywhere.
Yeah.
That is what I'm guilty of. And, you know, I'm as shameful as it is. I'm desperate for Lloyd and Yor to make some sort of like romantic progress, because that's the stories I like and that's the kind of shit I like. And that's kind of the promise this story made to me when it started and has yet to like do anything with. But like I said, I like Spy Family so much, I'm going to just sit on my hands and wait patiently. And, I did that for an hour and 20 minutes in a real theater, watching a real anime movie.
Now, can I blow your mind real quick here?
Yeah.
Because you keep saying an hour and 20 minutes.
No, I know. It's like 2 hours. It's like 2 hours.
It's 110 minutes long. It's an hour 50, man.
Yeah. But again, remember, I did miss like 15 to 20 minutes of it.
Oh, of course. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sick of anime. I'm done.
Yeah, this was a real frustrating one because it's not bad, but it's not like, wow, we fucking love that shit. And that's a weird place to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you. I liked the Spy Family movie. I thought it was fun, but It was popcorn at the end of the day.
Yeah, weirdly, almost a very similar critique we had of Boy and the Heron, just in a kind of a different direction.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, huh?
Yeah, anime's fucked up, man. I don't know.
Oh, it's so fucked up.
I don't know about this shit.
I gotta get out of here, man. I gotta cleanse my mind of this anime stuff.
I wonder if they're gonna do more anime movies in theaters, like mainstream theaters.
God help us if they do.
It'll be weird. It'll be a weird world.
I mean, it's already happening, obviously. Spy Family, that Kimetsu no Yaiba movie was in theaters.
Yeah, that's true. Mobile Suit Gundam Seed movie coming out.
Yeah.
Not just Ghibli anymore.
I'm going to be first in line when they do the eventual IMAX re-release of Gundam Endless Waltz. That'll be the sick shit.
Oh, you like that shit?
Yeah.
No, I am legit, like, no joke. If they put the 3 Berserk movies, like, in some kind of, like, back-to-back fest or whatever, I am fucking there. I am there so fucking fast.
You're wearing a diaper. You got a supply pack going on. You're not leaving.
Yeah, I'm downing these fucking nootropics like crazy. Eating them
God.
fistfuls of them. I'm
like
so ready. Give it to me.
Like right now? You're doing that right now?
Exactly, right now. Actually, no. These unfortunately, these nootropics have not improved my enthusiasm for anime. I'm running out. My tank is getting low. My enthusiasm for the Berserk movies and the way people call me a contrarian for that gives me life, but not enough to continue this podcast.
All right.
Let's call it.
Let's call it here.
That's been a podcast. That's been an anime death spiral.
All right. Check us out on TikTok. Follow us online. Please download the episodes, comment, rate us, do all that stuff. You're not doing it. I can see you not doing it right now. I'm watching you through the window.
You fucking nerds. You goddamn nerds.
Goddamn nerds. Support us, god damn it.
I know you're at your computer. I know you're at your computer right now. I mean,
all
do
right.
what you want. Do what you want. But I see you. I fucking see you.
All right, go off. Bye.
Is there a doctor on the plane? I'm a doctor. I'm also quite drunk.